Do you like change? Do you enjoy change? Are you excited when change happens? Most of us are probably going to say no. And if you said yes, my guess is that there are still people on your team who aren't so eager beavers about the change and who are maybe dragging their feet about the changes that you and your team are going through. On today's episode, I'm going to tell you the number one step that most of us miss when we're navigating change. So stay tuned. Hey, my dear, I'm leadership development coach Kathy Archer, and I help women leaders enjoy impactful leadership. And sometimes when we're navigating changes, we aren't feeling that joy so much. In fact, we're feeling frustrated, we're annoyed, we're irritated that the people around us are making the change harder than it needs to be, or that we have to go through the change. And that doesn't lead to organizations and teams who are engaged, who are doing great work. What it leads to is a lot of stuckness, a lot of fighting, or just kind of bickering because everybody's like, well, this isn't going so well. So we're going to talk about the 3 steps coming up in a webinar that I'm doing next Wednesday. And I've put the link in the notes if you're interested in joining that webinar, where I talk about effectively navigating change. Because as we've seen in our organizations, things have changed so fast in the last few months, and we're not done with it. It's going to continue to change. And we need to learn to be more effective at navigating that. It was okay for a while to just be in survival mode, but we can't stay in survival mode for a year. We need to figure out how to chill out, move through the changes more effectively so that our teams can grow and develop and so that we can do the work we were meant to do. But many of us are stuck. So if you want to know how to effectively navigate the changes that you're going through, join me for next week's webinar. But I want to talk about the first step today because and you'll learn how to get through this step with your team next week. But I want to just highlight this first step for you because it's a step that most of us miss. And I don't think we're even really aware that we miss it. So I'm going to tell you 3 stories. And I want you to see if you can figure out, as I'm telling you these 3 stories, they're all connected to this one step. So I want you to tell me if you can figure out what the one step is by the time I'm done these 3 stories. First story. A few years ago, we had a beautiful dog named Angel. She was a Sheltie Collie Cross, loved her to death, had her for many, many years since our kids were young, and she passed away. And it was hard. She had been, aging for a while, and there was lots of things that we had gone through with that. And when she passed away, one of the things we heard from a lot of people, and even amongst ourselves, we had conversations by ourselves, I mean, me, my husband, and my daughter, because my daughter was still living at home at the time, was you should just get a new puppy. You'll feel so much better when you just get a new puppy. You just need a new puppy. And we even had another dog. It wasn't like we didn't have another dog in the house, but there was some sort of uh, understanding in the world that if you just got a new dog, you would feel better, and that it would take all this pain and this ickiness and this hurt and just make it all disappear. And the truth was, we just needed to grieve. Like, I needed to feel the loss of Angel before I could move on. We still haven't got another dog. Like I said, we already had another dog, so it wasn't like we needed another dog to fix it. So that's one story. The second story is last summer, my husband and I had many conversations about selling our trailer and our boat. And we knew it was probably time. We hadn't been using them as much. Kids have grown up, needing to do some different things. But we were having trouble making that decision. And so we had many conversations, and I remember a couple, and I remember sort of the one where we finally made the decision. We'd been sitting on the deck and we were just talking about all of the memories we'd had in the trailer, all of the good times with the kids, the trips we'd been on. I had done a camping trip every summer with my daughter or daughters for years. It was called the Girls Only Camping Trip. The times we'd camped with our granddaughter and son, just all of the memories, just we kept talking about them. And after we kind of told a whole bunch of stories and remembered all of those things, it was after that we made the decision to sell the boat and the trailer. So that's the second story. The third story is when I quit my job 2011. I think I gave notice that I was stepping out of my manager's position, or my director's position. It didn't happen the day I gave notice. That was months worth of tears and journaling and conversations and back and forth. And I kept coming back to, what was I giving up? What was I losing by quitting my job? What was I sort of going to regret by quitting my job? And I had to go through all of that before I could come to terms with quitting my job. So 3 stories: the loss of our dog, selling our trailer, and me quitting my job. All of those stories were part of effectively navigating change. I was able to navigate those changes more effectively because I did that first step. Any guess what that first step is? So again, losing my dog, uh, making the decision to sell our trailer. We still have it, by the way. If you want a trailer and a boat, they're still for sale. And changing my job. The first step, and this is the step that we so often miss in change. The first step to effectively navigating any change is saying goodbye, letting go, walking away from, separating yourself, but somehow acknowledging that you're saying goodbye to something. It's like a trapeze artist. You can't sort of swing from one side to the other until you let go of the first side. But we so often miss letting go of the first side. We want to hang on to that first side and swing to the other side, but we haven't let go. Or we're trying to force people. We're trying to make people sort of go, it'll be better over here. You know, when we're moving offices, we're like, oh, that's okay. The photocopier is great down there. But we forget that the reason somebody was so attached to the photocopier being in this other spot was maybe because it was by their best friend at work, or it got them to get up and get out of their office. Whatever. We miss that part of the letting go part. And we have to do that more and more and more frequently, is talk about, engage in, figure out how to let go of what we have or had before we can move to the other side of change. So that's the first step that's so often missed in organizations, is letting go, is saying goodbye, is stepping away from. I'm going to talk about those other 2 steps on the webinar next week. So if you want to learn those 2 steps and how to help your team navigate those changes, make sure you grab the link below and join me, because it's when we start to more effectively navigate those changes that we take our team out of survival mode, where we've been in for the last few months, and we and our organization move to thriving in both our leadership and our life. If this has been helpful today, you might be interested in the training library. The training library is for leaders who know they want to coach or mentor, know they need some ongoing personal and professional development, but don't believe that they or their organization can afford it. But inside of the training library, I give you affordable, easy, accessible, ongoing personal and professional and development opportunities to help you navigate those changes. And do it with somebody on your side, somebody on your team, somebody available to you, so that when you hit those inevitable humps and bumps, which always hit us in leadership, you'll be able to get through them. And you'll know that you have the support you need, the direction you need. So maybe it's change this time. Maybe it's a tough conversation next week. Maybe you want to ask for feedback another week. Maybe you've been struggling with composure. Maybe stress is your issue. Whenever those hit, you can just head over to the training library, find the webinar, find the training, find the worksheet, find the resource you need, reach out to me, ask a question, ask the other ladies in the course as well, but figure out what it is you need to do. And you have that support ongoing when you join the training library. You can find that at kathyarcher.com/library. Do the work, my dear. Figure this out, because it will help you navigate change. It will help you feel better as a leader and help you get out of survival mode and move to thriving in both your leadership and life. Go make the rest of your day awesome, my dear.